It's Toma time! What is going on, guys? Toma Tales here, which means that today I'm bringing you guys another tale of my life. Now, this tale is going to be a bit different because instead of like a happy, fun party vibe, it's going to be a very eerie, unsettling, and scary experience, that I had in my life. So, as you can tell by the title, it is my first time dealing with sleep paralysis. Now, if you do not know what sleep paralysis is, it's this sensation where you're sleeping and all of a sudden you kind of wake up and something very creepy is happening. Like, you see something in the corner of your room in the darkness and it's walking towards you, but you can't move. You're like awake and it feels so real, but like you can't move. Like, you can't move at all, and you just have to basically like feel this entity or whatever it is, coming towards you or just being in the room. It's very frightening and it's very scary. And I wanted to share that with you today, my own experience with sleep paralysis, as it was very, very eerie. So let's get into that, all right? This specific tale happened 2 summers ago. And, 2 summers ago, I was living in Florida, but I was kind of over it. I was kind of like, man, I want to change the scenery. And so I had a friend that lived in California, and we'd been talking, and we both decided to get our own place in Northern California near San Francisco, which, if you don't know, that whole area over there is very, very foresty, very nature, very mountains, hills, trees everywhere, animals on the roads, deers. It's just, coyotes everywhere. It's a very, nature scenery, which is so different from Florida. In Florida, it's just, sunshine and beach, and palm trees. But where I was moving was a whole different vibe, and I was not prepared for that, which is kind of what led into my sleep paralysis. So, yeah, my friend and I, we decided to move to California. So we took that 3-day road trip to California. He flew down. He was already living in California. He flew down so that he could drive with me to California. Shout out to that because that was pretty cool. And so we took the 3-day road trip, which in itself was very, very memorable and very insane. A lot of crazy tales I'll have to say about that road trip itself. But we eventually get to the house, and just as I got closer to the house, it was just like, wow, where am I? Like, this is a whole nother planet. This is a whole different universe. Oh my God, there's hills like this. My car can barely make it. There's trees everywhere, nature. I saw 5 deers near my neighborhood. And as I'm pulling up, it's just it was daytime, so everything was so beautiful. The trees, the sun, the animals. And so, yeah, we pull up to the house. It's a very cabiny looking house. And, I'm just going to try and give the setting of the house itself. So it was you're on a pretty, you're on a main road, and you have to, go this steep up the driveway. It's a very steep driveway. Once you get up, you just see this cabin looking house. And, yeah, behind the house are a bunch of trees. We're kind of on a hill, on a mountain kind of thing. So, behind the house, it goes high, steep up, and there's trees everywhere behind us, a bunch of trees. It's like a forest. And on the opposite side of us, there's a street, and on the opposite side there's a whole nother mountain with trees everywhere. So, wherever you looked, there was trees, and it was super beautiful. But, upon just arriving, I was just not prepared for the different setting, the different feeling it would give me, coming from Florida and now being in this whole different state that I'd never been to. And it just created this, I'm in a different planet, different universe feeling. I felt so foreign and so out of place. And that's kind of what I was dealing with my first, time being in California and seeing the setting around me. And so, we get there, we unpack, we do all that stuff. And my friend, he was still living in his old house, so he told me he's going to spend one more night there, and then he's going to sleep with me in the new house. And at this point, it was already getting dark, and I was like, he had just told me he's going to be sleeping at the other house for tonight. And I wasn't happy with that because if I'm being honest, it was about 6, 7 o'clock at this point. I unpacked everything. He hadn't unpacked. He was still at the other house. I was there alone with my cat. I brought my cat, and my cat was already acting up in this house, like kind of hiding and feeling super weird. And at one point, I was just like unpacking, and I'm just like, doing my thing in the house, getting settled in, and I hear these freaking weird, like, weird noises. Like, first, it sounds like there's just like one or two people talking, like, near my house, near the house, just like a normal conversation. And then it's like three people are talking, and then four people like having a conversation. I'm like, is there like a party across the street, a little get together? And then it just turns from like four people to five people to six, like 15 people just like, just like talking. And then at some point I was like, those aren't humans. That is not human. Those are not humans talking. What is this? Like, what is this? It just sounded like 15 people just like, just like really talking fast and on top of each other. So it just created this weird sensation of like, I could not figure, I've never heard something like this before in my life. And so I was like, what the fuck was this? Because in the beginning I just thought it was some people like talking, a little get together. But when it was like just kept picking up the pace, the traction of it just on top of each other, I was like, that is something I've never heard before. And as I heard that, I was like kind of like, I was unsettled. And so I ended up calling my friend. I was like, yo, I just heard the weirdest shit ever. Like the weirdest noise, so unexplainable. It didn't sound like any animal, any human I've ever heard before. And as I told him this, he did something very douchebaggy. He started telling me about this ancient tale of skinwalkers. So if you don't know what skinwalkers are, it's like this ancient creature, like it's a legend of like, of this creature that can transform into different animals. Like, it's a skinwalker. It can go, into other animals. Like, it can basically shapeshift into another animal. And as it does it, it's like, it's not very authentic because it's not the real animal. So it's just like very weird and doesn't make the right noises, doesn't walk correctly. And he's just telling me about this legend and how they've been seen in California and like Arizona area, how they're very like prone to like have encounters there. And so he's telling me that it might have been a skinwalker because, we're in the forest area in California, and that's what they, kind of sound like maybe. And at this point I was like, oh, what the fuck, you're really just telling me that there's a skinwalkers outside my house on my first night in this new house? It's already dark outside. There's no streetlights out there because it's just very naturey, no streetlights. Just a very dark, eerie feeling I'd already gotten, and it set the tone for like, a very creepy first night in this place. And on top of that, after hearing these really weird noises outside of the house, like where the street is, I'm just like in the bathroom, which is, I was in the living room. My friend's room was there, and you have to walk through his room to get into the bathroom. And I was just in the bathroom, and my cat was on the window in his room with a big window. You look out, it's all dark, and there's trees everywhere to the left. And as I walk out, my cat's just on the window, and all of a sudden she just freaks out. Like, whoa, all the windows go, the shutters go crazy, and just like a bunch of noise. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? What just happened? And I just like, she just freaks out all of a sudden, like runs away from the room. And so I'm like looking out the window, like, what is this? Why did she just freak out? What is happening? And then, she's just like looking around the house, very scared, kind of hiding in the closet. And at that point, I'm like, fuck that room. I end up locking the room because I was not going in there again tonight. I didn't want another room to worry about because there's a big window there. I locked the room, and, I was sleeping in the living room that night. And this is when the sleep paralysis happened, guys. So, I already was thinking about skinwalkers, about this weird sound I could not fathom. It was out of this world sounding. And so the seed was already planted in my brain, and I think that's what led to this sleep paralysis experience. So, yeah, I go to sleep at about 12 o'clock at night, and I'm sleeping on the floor, Now I'm sleeping in the living room. It is a very open living room. I'm at the other corner, and opposite of me is a big window, and the door's to the left of the window. So you walk in, you take a right, and there's the living room where I'm sleeping. And so yeah, I'm against the wall, and opposite of me is just a big window where it's just darkness outside, and there's woods on the other side. And not very safe. This living room was not safe. Windows everywhere, a door to the left that wasn't very secure seeming. And so, you know, that's what I was dealing with tonight, and I hated my friend for making me sleep there alone. But I also, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna sleep here, whatever. It just felt super unsettling, super weird. I felt like I was on a different planet because it was my first night in this new state. It was so dark, so weird, different setting, and on top of that, I heard these weird-ass noises that I could not explain, and now just Skinwalker, the term, the creature, the legend was just in my head. And maybe I'll show you guys a picture of that, like right now or whenever I will, but it's a very creepy, it's a very weird creature. It's usually very skinny, and there's even a picture that went viral online of a skinwalker. It's very bony, white, tall, bony, just like everything looks discombobulated, like its bones are like broken in place and stuff. It's just a very creepy ass freaking legend that was created, and that's what I was thinking about when I went to sleep. So I went to sleep, and next thing I know, I wake up to the whole room shaking. Like it was a vibration. So I wake up, and the whole living room was vibrating. And I just got this very eerie feeling like something was coming, like something very dark and sinister was going to like make its presence very soon, because I never had this happen before. Where I wake up, I'm looking around me like I don't know to this day if I was awake or not, but all I remember is I become, awake, and the whole dream or whatever was happening was vibrating. But I was like in my bed where I was sleeping, in the living room where I was sleeping, like everything was in place, but it was just like the whole living room was vibrating, like everything was vibrating, and I could just feel this dark presence, and all of a sudden I hear the door opening, and I can't see the door because it's a left and there's a wall in the way. But the whole dream, if it was a dream, if it wasn't, I don't really know. It was just this weird environment that I was in within my state of mind, and it was all vibrating. Like the walls were vibrating, everything was vibrating. And all of a sudden I see this skinwalker walking towards me. It's super it's vibrating too, and it's super long, tall, white, and bony, and it's just like it's looking at me. And at this point, I'm like, holy shit. It felt so real, and, he was the creature that was, a skinwalker. It was vibrating. The whole room was vibrating. My head was vibrating. It's like walking towards me slowly. And I just remember, having my eyes, open and, looking at it. And at this point, I was like, it's coming at me. I have to do something. And I was just thinking, should I try and, hide? I couldn't really move, I couldn't really do anything, but my thought was, should I hide, should I go under the covers? And then I was thinking no, I'm gonna face this thing. I'm gonna face this skinwalker, this creature that freaking is super scary. And so I just remember tensing up as I can feel this vibrating creature coming towards me. And so I just tensed up, and I just feel its presence. It's just super dark, demon-like presence coming towards me, and I'm tensing up because I'm not gonna run away. I'm just gonna all I can do is tense up. I can't really move, so I'm just internally tensing up and preparing for whatever this creature, this thing is gonna do to me. And it was just so eerie that the whole room was shaking, the creature was shaking. I just couldn't believe what was happening. And right before, it was right in front of me. I just could. It wasn't even me looking at it. It was me just feeling its presence. It was so such a powerful, such a dark presence, and I could just feel it. And at one point, I was just so tensed up, and I could feel it right there, right on top of my bed, right on top of me. And it felt so real. It felt so so scary. And as it was right in front of me, I just remember everything stopped shaking, everything stopped vibrating, and I was back into this normal state of mind, and I kind of just like woke up. And now I just woke up from this crazy sleep paralysis. It was like 3 in the morning. The whole house is dark. I can't really see anything besides the huge window. And now you can imagine how like creeped out I was. You know when you have a terrible dream, you wake up in the middle of the night and then you have to like try and fall back asleep. Now add on that I was in a whole new state that was super, dark, foresty, and like freaking who knows what in the forest right behind me. And I just had this sleep paralysis experience. Yeah, I was just like I woke up and I was like, what the fuck just happened? I was like super confused because I'd never had this happen before, and all I was like, all right, I need to fall back asleep. I'm not trying to like look around in the living room. So I put on some YouTube, and eventually I did fall asleep. And I met up with my friend the next day. I told him about the experience, and he was like, yeah, dude, you had sleep paralysis. Like, it was really crazy. It was really creepy, and it was most of all really eerie. So yeah, that's really my experience with sleep paralysis. It's a very unsettling experience, and if you've had this happen to you, comment it. I want to know what your experience was. And to this day, I've never had it again, which I'm grateful of, because it is not a good feeling being defenseless and something coming at you. But that's all I have for today's tale. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you stay tuned for further tales of my life, because they are coming your way. Toma Tales is out. Bye, guys.